Welcome back to another episode of Todd's House of Speed. I appreciate you all tuning in. I've got something really different today, really special, and I think it'll appeal to, I don't care what age you are. Actually, in the title is a hint of what it is, okay? So we're going to have some fun today, a little bit of how-to, so stay tuned. So welcome back, everybody. I appreciate everybody viewing and subscribing. Please like and subscribe. Help me grow my channel. Okay, so enough about that. All right, so on to what we're doing today. We're going to have some fun, and I'm going to show you exactly. I'm going to spin this around. I'm going to show you what we're going to do today. Look at that. Oh, man. What is that? A go-kart. Well, yes, it is. So what we have here is a all-original 1980 go-kart, and what's cool about it is, and I mean it's all original, and there's a great story is behind this and how I got it. So I'm not sure what year it is. I'm pretty sure, according to the original owner, that's who I bought it from, believe it or not, who got it when they were a kid. It went pretty much unmodified, a lot of kid miles put on this, but it is absolutely all there. And there's a couple of things about this go-kart. It doesn't have slicks like some vintage go-karts back, so it has all-terrain tires. And then the power plant, let's look at that. So it's got some fun power. So what does that say? 5 horsepower, man. That's like the big block. Man, if you were a kid back then, and even now, okay, and you got a mini bike or a go-kart, and it had 5 horsepower, that's like a big block Chevrolet or Ford or Mopar, whatever your flavor is. Everything is original to this, man. I don't know how many kid miles this thing has, but I am actually shocked it's not been modified or just beat to all get out. This is a variator, or probably in modern terms, a constant velocity. So the clutch here, if you're not familiar with this is essentially snowmobile technology back in the day that was adapted because as the engine RPM goes up, this front pulley actually squeezes in, and then that forces this pulley to squeeze out. So you can see it's got a small pulley to a big pulley for great out the hole. And then as this thing picks up speed, engine RPM and wheel RPM, axle RPM, both pulleys start to change sizes. So you have the best of both worlds. And then it has a jack shaft underneath here, and it's chain drive to the sprocket. So this thing has a live axle, which means it's a solid axle. It's, again, solid. So on asphalt, it's going to be very hard to turn, but really this thing was designed to be, for kids like in the field and dirt and things like that, were actually much better suited. So what we're going to do today is, they said the engine was running, I believe them. They just couldn't get it started at that point. I know, it ran before you got here. I'm confident it's fine, but what I'm going to do is it needs the oil changed, and I think the carburetor needs some attention, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually replace the carburetor with the whole kit. So the first thing I'm going to do is change the oil. And let's go over here. I got a quart of just regular 30 weight, straight weight Briggs & Stratton oil. And I think these things only hold like a half a quart or maybe 3/4 or something like that, but it's not much. And then over here, I've got a surprise in this box. It's essentially a maintenance kit, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. And we got some good fuel. I forget what the octane is. Is it 93 or 92? Anyway, there's no alcohol in it. And man, if you've got something, unless you have access to a gas station close by, this is the best thing you can put in your small engines. Something similar to this, what doesn't have any alcohol in it. All right, so here's the drain plug, but there's also one on the other side. So on these engines, there's drain plugs of both back and front and fill plugs, depending upon the configuration. So we're going to go ahead and drain the oil, and we're going to let it drain all the way out. Man, I actually hit it. Unbelievable. So this is a box, and in this box is a, air quotes, tune-up kit, okay? Now, in this case, I'm going to violate my long-standing rule of not putting Chinese parts on. Okay, I don't care what it is, but I'm but I'm going to do it in this case, and I'll tell you why. The carburetor on this is I think they call it a pulse jet. Essentially, uses the engine's vacuum, but also to pull up the fuel. So I think this thing has been maintained, but the carburetor to me looks original. Don't know if it is or not, but I thought, well, let me just try not necessarily a tune-up kit, because I really need the carburetor and the fresh diaphragm and all that, rather than struggle with this, because I've got a purpose for this next weekend. I went in and essentially Googled this, and shocker, Amazon, I think it's Amazon I got it off of, plugged the serial number in, and this kit has the carburetor, the gaskets. I don't know if it has a spark plug or not. It might even have a spark plug. Air filter, fuel filter, and man, it was like with shipping under $40. It was either Amazon or eBay. I'm sorry. Does it matter? No, I don't think so. I mean, I really haven't lost much because I think it needs an air filter anyway. So I'm just going to go try it. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? It doesn't work, and I actually I go and fool with the original carburetor and possibly unplug the low speed jets or something like that, because they're really, really tiny, man. It's worth the gamble in this case. Okay, I mean, it is. Not only is it a tune-up kit, okay, there's supposed to be the pad for the air filter, the air filter itself, gaskets. There's a carburetor in here that's a direct swap for this engine. I don't know can y'all see that? And there's also a fuel filter and a valve if you need it. See that right there? Okay. Again, it's 3/8. Or if you had a square drive socket. So you can see with the upholstery off that we can see the fill hole. We can get to it really easy, no big deal. There's no debris inside. We're going to pour it in. See that? All right, so moving on up here, we take our air filter cover off. Yeah. And sure enough, here's the shutdown wire. I don't know if y'all can see it. Let's see here. And let's see. It's so close to the manifold over here, I think I am going to have to, that actually was a little bit loose. Did I say actually enough? Okay. Yay. So here's our old carburetor out. Here's your fuel pickup. And man, I don't know if y'all can see, it has a teeny tiny hole. I don't know if the camera picks it up. There was some crap on the end of that. All right. Don't y'all panic. That's actually a sponge down there to keep from sloshing around, just like a race car. But it doesn't smell that great either. Just saying. So I may take the tank off. I'm not sure, or I may just take something in there and suck it dry. It smells about half, so I've smelled worse, but it doesn't smell that great either. Just saying. Okay. And then down here you can see the rust. So we're going to clean that out. That's where the fuel is essentially drawn up and dropped into that well, and that's where your main jet sits. Get this stuff away, not in the hole, and then see if I can basically draw out the old fuel in it. So I got all the old gas out with the suction gun, no big deal, because it's a fair amount of work. The bottom of the tank off that's attached to the block, it's got hardware, wiring. It's just like, I just want it simple. I'm not sure I could get it much cleaner. I mean, I certainly could turn it upside down, but I'm satisfied with what's going on there. So the carburetor, the pickup, let me turn this around. So this pickup doesn't sit all the way at the bottom of the tank. I don't know what the distance is, but it didn't sit at the bottom, so I'm not too concerned with that, where it picks the fuel up. We can see we got, it should have the cylinder head or the block, essentially. The carburetor bolts to that, and then there's the gasket to the tank. Okay, so we're going to take those out. All right, so one of the problems I'm running into, you can see this is a stationary bracket that bolts to the throttle body, the body of the carburetor, and you can see that's about, I don't know, it's farther than I think I have adjustment. And I'm not sure why that is, but I've already, if you want to call that a problem, that's a problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and back this nut as far as I can and see how close I can get. But this has to go there. For whatever reason, is stationary for that linkage. Okay. Okay, so I always say the only thing that fits is what you just took off. The hole down here doesn't quite match because our gasket is thinner, so it's drawing everything closer. And this tin piece is actually hitting, it's right up against the fan shroud. So I'm gonna have to make some adjustments here. Okay, so y'all stick with me. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do is we've got the throttle up there. We're gonna make sure it like opens up. It's sitting on the, like at idle right now. This, you know, basically on this, I don't know if y'all can see right here. Okay, floored. And you can see this. This must be like an adjustment for the governor. I don't know, but in any case, I put it back where it was, and this is sitting there. Okay, floored, off. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we'll put our air cleaner assembly back on. Let's hope all this lines up. All right. Now, watch me drop the screws down the throat of the carburetor. See how that works out. And we got the intake, so it's going to go on that side. So we have another spark plug here that comes in the kit. I'm not sure how much confidence I have in that. But what I'm going to do is fill it with gas, give it a second. I am going to pull the plug out, take a look at it, and then maybe it'll start. We'll see. Got our clean funnel inside and out. Put some fresh goodness all in there. Let's check it. All right, I think that's about it, man. All right. Let's pull the plug. Okay, so I don't know if y'all can see. Let me show y'all. That looks a little rich, just saying. Got my handy dandy, like basically. So I don't know if y'all can see. So we're, yeah, it was a little tight. So we put it at 30. And hope the plug works. Like works. So I gotta tell y'all something. As I'm screwing it in, it's going like this, believe it or not. So what's happening, I'm screwing it in, I'm watching the insulator like it's not even seated in there. I mean, I didn't expect anything, so yeah, throwing it away. Not that this one's any better, but this one's definitely running when it came out. So I'm gonna take some carb cleaner, hit this in there, get the carbon out of it, clean it with a wire wheel, gap it. All right, that looks good. All right, this is going back in. Going to cross our fingers. Going to choke it. Run. And I think it's set at idle right now. I know it is. So we'll see what happens. What? Basically, the engine starts and runs. I'm going to start it one or two more times, make sure it's, basically it starts and idles. And then let's do this. So the sprocket here is like, you can see kind of, well, it needs to sit somewhere. So I think what I might do is, basically that's the next thing, is get the sprocket straightened out on the shaft. And what I might do is if I don't find a divot, so you can see there's obviously a set screw, but what needs to happen is there needs to be like a flat or something. So, I mean, something like maybe even drilled in, I might do that. So the shaft doesn't spin the keyway out. Anyway, so I need to pull this wheel off to then get this all the way out and really do a look at what's going on, okay? That, I think, what we need to do is drill that as soon as we get a spot, and then like rotate. The keyway is pretty straightforward. Got our keyway here, so we need to do something so this doesn't just fall out, because I think that's what's happening. I think the other one just fell out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just mark it. The shaft is round, obviously. I'm going to put that flat, just that area, so there's more contact for the set screw for that, to keep it from spinning, okay? All right, so you can see what I did here is basically just put a flat on it so there's more bite from the set screw. Then I found a thin spacer I'm going to put behind here, and then we're going to assemble this. So this one set screw was really too long, so I cut about 1/4 inch off, give or take. And how I did that is I just took 2 1/4 inch nuts on this end where my finger is, jammed them, and then took a cut-off wheel, cut that off, dressed it, and backed the nuts off so it would dress the threads as it comes off. So I think we're ready to go. All right, so I got a little bit of in play here. That's all I need. And I've got see if y'all can see. So the set screw is not sitting like way up and might interfere with the chain or catch a chain when it comes around. So let me get the other one on. Got some hair or something on that. I don't know what's going on. Put a little blue Loctite. Let's see, that keyway looks like it's sticking out a little bit. I don't know if it's all the way in. Yeah. All right. Man, this chain, I don't know if y'all can see, but the rollers, Lord have mercy. has seen better days. So I don't know. It's so worn out. So the short story is, I went online at Tractor Supply. There's a couple of them around where I live, um, and I went there. I went online, and they had you had to buy a 10-foot section. Okay, whatever. So I went there. It was priced reasonably, and I mean, we're right here. I hate doing stuff halfway, man. I mean, sometimes, yes, it was like another $30 or whatever, and I've already put some money in this thing, but you just want to go beat on it and not fool with it anymore. And I could tell that, this thing is, well, it's 45 years old. Okay, this thing was made in 1980, so just about all original. And I think that chain, I don't know if it's been replaced, but even the sprockets are worn. But they're still usable. But the chain, man, it was like I was out of adjustment, and I was just afraid of something happening. So I spent a couple of dollars, got a new chain. It's a 40 chain. That's the size. And basically now I can have a little, so this thing is not quite all the way back, the assembly here, the adjustment. And I can make this adjustment really good. So this is not to be tight. There's got to have some, obviously, slack in it. See that? I've already put the master link in it. So all I got to do is put the hub. Where's my wheel? My wheel and hub over there. Bolt that on. So this nut came out, and how this is on is a keyed. So this hub is keyed to the axle. So I just had to do some shuffling around and then do the preload on the bearing on the drive axle here, and then find out where my chain needs to be. And so I have enough adjustment here. Now, there's also adjustment that this engine goes way forwards. I mean, you can't go too far forwards. I mean, what is that? But you can see how long the slots are. So what I'm going to do is basically get my chain adjustment worked out and get this square, okay? Get this square, and then it's most likely this belt is going to be too loose. It looks like it. I'm going to have to also push the motor up. So anyway, just small stuff, y'all. We're going to put, I don't know if y'all noticed, so there's a 1/4 inch, it's threaded shaft, and so what I wanted to do, and I'm sure why it's there, to keep the sprocket from walking off, and there was nothing there. So I got a thick washer, basically diameter, to cover this, and I'm going to put a little Loctite on it, Loctite blue. I'm going to run that in. All right. Thumbs up. All right. All right, so a couple things. Before I spaced everything out here, this drive sprocket, that's the driven, this drive sprocket was kind of flopping around. Alan basically set screws. One was too long, and then we did a flat to get more depth and hold on the shaft for this drive sprocket. It was really close. The other thing is this all was way off. Like this was sticking out. This was too far in. This brake band, the anchor pin, was actually rubbing the inside of the sprocket. So I think we're getting close to testing it. So basically I'm just going to go over, just make sure everything works. I mean, it's a very simple machine, but before I put it on the ground, because I mean, you're like down here, like working. Anyway, so the original carburetor, as I said, that mixture screw was like all the way in. That controls fuel. So you notice that when you stepped on the gas, it was like, there was like nothing. And I went back, and of course, clockwise is less fuel, and it was bottomed out. So I backed it out like a turn. It was just blubbering at idle. And apparently, I'm going to have to find a happy medium between idle quality and speed and acceleration, like it's got enough fuel. So So it's kind of like a happy medium. It doesn't want to start real well for whenever like an idle. You kind of have to pull the throttle up a little bit. In any case, it's an approximation. Kind of like I'm trying to meet it in the middle. It's not clutch grabbing, and I think I'm about as close as I'm going to get. So the next thing I'm going to do is get off my stands here and then take it for a spin. Our test drive, the thing's actually pretty fast. I say fast. With that variator clutch, that setup, it like really launches good. Like it's almost like a trans brake. Like all of a sudden it's like ooh, boo. So like drag racing, and then it accelerates. I think we can call this a win. A little bit tedious, and I hope you all enjoyed watching. And almost forgot before I finish this video. So what's the story on that? So I found this. I've been looking for a vintage mini bike, and for the same reason, and I say vintage like 60s to 70s, like, Tecumseh or Briggs and Stratton, something like that. And man, I just couldn't find it. So the Go-Kart was kind of the same era, but man, that was a long time ago, just saying. So I'd search out literally for months on, somewhere close enough to where I live to drive. I mean, reasonable driving to go get it and come back. And ultimately couldn't find a mini bike. And I found that. And I don't know what it is. Some people, Manco, and I'm sure that's some kind of conglomeration of, companies or whatever made a lot of these. But I didn't find any name, anything on it. But that's really not important. But what is important is the story. So on Craigslist, so I was on eBay, all the, I don't have Faceplant or all that stuff, I mean, y'all can have that. I'm just saying, I'm not interested. So I'm kind of relegated to Craigslist, eBay, and things like that. So I found this on Craigslist about an hour and a half from me. And when I called on it, a woman picked up. I'm like, like probably my age, or it sounded like maybe on the phone. And she said, I'm calling about the go-kart. And so we start talking, and I just assumed it belonged to her son or grown son or something. Said, no, it's mine. It's mine. So we start talking, and I ask her, so what's the story? So here's how the story goes. So I think she's in her 50s, early 50s, something like that. Anyway, so here's the point. So in the late 70s, she was probably around 12 years old, according to her, something like that. And she was kind of running off the rails. And y'all can, with school and people, and she was, to her credit, she said I had better things to do than studying. So I don't know what happened, but the parents tried to, they threatened her, nothing worked. So one day she came home from school, and guess what was sitting like in their driveway? That. So her dad bought her that. And he said, you can have that and keep it and ride it as much as you want, but you got to keep your grades up. You got to do a 180, and you got to show us a different side. And so it appealed to her so much. And it was just kind of, I don't know, this is, I guess, the thing between, you know, young boys and girls. Is like you wouldn't think they would binge it. And she lived in kind of a semi-rural area. So she had a sort of a place to ride it. And all of a sudden, she took a ride for this thing, and she loved it. And she became, and then the go-kart became the center of, her friends would come over, and they'd ride it and hang out and just like literally run the tires off of it. And she did exactly that. So she started straightening up, started getting better grades. And here's a hint. So when we went over to pick it up, she was living in easily a $750,000 home. Nice cars. I mean, it's all material stuff, but you could tell she earned it. And, she was happily married, had kids, all that. And so she became and applied herself to be a veterinarian. And so that, it's interesting because let me just point down here, because that was, with her parents' guidance, was the turning point. Anyway, she had kept it all these years. So this is, as far as she can remember, she said she's pretty sure it was a 1980-ish, and I can't find any information on it other than that, but she was pretty sure she got it in 1980. And so the go-kart was instrumental in, like, okay, you can have it and ride it, but when your grades start falling, we take it away or we'll sell it. That was pretty much this is the deal. And she did, man, and she started applying herself and kind of changed her tune a little bit and went on to become very successful, put herself through college, or maybe some help, and became a veterinarian. And now she's like, what looks like a happy and also successful life. And that was part of it. Hey, is that cool? I mean, seriously, I think that's cool. Anyway, so hope y'all enjoyed, learned something, had a little bit of fun. I love these things. I love vintage. I grew up on it. So as I say, I've already got this sold, and doing some exchange, this for some work and some other stuff with a good friend of mine. And then, but I'm on the hunt for a vintage mini bike like I had when I grew up. So any of y'all out there, it's a Western Auto Trail Horse mini bike. And I can't find any. I can find pieces of those things. It's so long ago. Anyway, so thanks for watching. Thanks, everybody. I just very grateful that people watching. Please like, subscribe, and stay tuned for another episode in the future for something completely different again. See ya.